Now we're going to move into the panel discussion regarding high value print and embellishments. Obviously, we've just come off of a real life experience of someone who has, endorsed and upheld the importance of going that route of high-end prints and embellishments. We've been talking a lot about it today. Bob, why don't you kick us off with what does that look like?
Yeah, so we hear a lot about embellishments in the printing industry from everybody, from printer OEMs to people like Skandacor, right? So really what the embellishment word means, to me at least, is anything you do to a piece of print that makes it more sellable and adds value. So one of the big things that, they should just hit spotlight on that, that's all right. One of the big things that we see out there is, people avoiding the embellishment world because they think that it's, glitter and sparkles and, funky things that are going to be really difficult to do. So I think what we'd like to do in this panel today, John, is talk about embellishments that we can do, obviously with Skandacor equipment, but then also functional print. So what else is there that we can do with a printed piece to make it more than toner on paper and make it into a product that your customer needs, wants, and can utilize? So actually making a product, not a commodity. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. And that's really the end game, is there's got to be a tangible, high value product to sell to the marketplace. And, I just like that analogy that was used earlier, the dollar donut, the traditional glazed, up into the $3 donut. And as you up the ante or up the branding, you really create higher value as you push that channel up. And there's so many ways to do it. Just like you say, there's, yes, you got flat print. How do we take it from a flat traditional bland print to a stellar product that is very high value and sellable?
So yeah, so let's start kind of at the beginning, the options out there for embellishing. So I'm going to be referring specifically to digital printers. So a lot of our audience is. So there's obviously embellishing you do on press. We see things like people adding a fifth color, doing things on specialty media, what we saw before on top of metallic stocks, where they can maybe even do transparent, do a white opaque ink, then do CMYK on top of that. That's considered an embellishment. We're hearing taglines like beyond CMYK. So that's all considered embellishment. Then you can see, what we've been talking a lot about, laminating, adding a tactile feel, adding sleek bro. But one of the areas that's often overlooked that I already mentioned is the functional design of print. So there's a lot of things we can do with it. We got Robert Morrison on here today, and he's got a customer that has a special process and has carved a niche for themselves by what I consider embellishment. You want to tell us about that, Robert?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my top customers specializes, basically they have created, like John was saying, a product more than just selling the toner on paper, where what they're doing are super double thick business cards. And, it can be as simple as making the thick business card and having, your double-sided print, your CMYK, but they go a step further and they offer many options for additional embellishments to be added to that. So they've got the soft pro feel, they've got the foil effects, the solid foils, the full color overprinting foil, in addition to, die cut edges, rounded corners, and spot embellishments, spot gloss, spot matte, in UV as well. So it's taking all of the options that are out there, and what they've realized is by utilizing and putting everything together as all options into one package for one final product, that they're seeing a lot more sales. They're seeing a lot more changes and repeat business, because people are coming back and they're saying, oh, this time I'd like to add on this, or wouldn't it be cool if we could do, this function onto the same card, but let's make the logo pop in a foil color. So it's taking creating that product out of it. And they've been very successful at doing that with the thick business cards.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I thought was really cool is when they do the double thick or triple thick and actually do a die cut out so you can see through the card to the layer below. It adds a phenomenal dimension to the card. Another thing that they do at that shop is they do the painted edges, like what Emily just showed us in those pictures. We had Waldo yesterday morning. He had his business card up. That was from a different company, moo.com. They do a really good job of doing this kind of thing. But, he had that up and he said, oh, I can shave with it. It's so thick. But that card makes an impression. So just tying it all into functional print, a few things that we see in this arena is, let's talk about putting something on an easel on foam core for a POP display. How about using our new antibacterial films, and it's printable and we can wrap it around a plexiglass shield you can cut out on your router for dividers for a reception area. So you're now selling a product, you're selling a solution to the customer's needs. And I think that goes back to what Bill was talking about yesterday about showing them samples, but then finding out what the customer actually wants and utilizing your expertise and embellishments to actually create it. So John, why don't you tell us about die cutting and how we can incorporate that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as we're talking about, we want to be able to sell a product, not just another Me Too. And one of the big changing pieces in the industry now is the fact that we can do specialty cutting with a lot of the digital die cutting that's available now, and both in rotary die cut with flexible dies that we're going to hear and see a live demo on very soon this afternoon. But the digital die cutting ability, where more or less it's like a print file that can be sent, and then you're cutting any image individual. Almost think of it like the Sleek Pro idea, where wherever that print is, we're going to lay down foil or spot. A lot of the new digital die cutting, you've sent that print file, which is technically a cut file, and it's going to perforate, that specialty piece. So every piece going through can now be, a different shape, form. Your one sheet can be a coaster with a unique design, to a door hanger, to onward it goes. And a lot is, we speak about, finding out customers' needs. Well, a lot of times you actually have to teach the customer about what they can actually now produce, or with this technology incorporated, what you'll have the ability of doing. And because a lot of the end users have always known for years, well, if I want a funky design, it's going to cost X, and that's out of my price range. Well, now with this shift, we need to actually train a lot of our customers or the end users, I should say, that this product is now available. As you saw, Mark Geeves, how many cards did he have, Bob? Was it about 40 different business cards?
I think he said 42.
Yeah, so you take that. I mean, clients out there may not know that for about 10% more, 30% more, I can have 40 different cards. And that's now the environment that we need to get out to the end users, that, with this technology, they can now do that. And you, the producer, can be very highly profitable in this short run space with high value embellishments.
Absolutely. And going back, I don't want to repeat it too many times, but Mark's point about all print starts with design. So we're going to reiterate this a bunch, but it's so important that our customers, digital printers out there in the market, are educating, like John said, what the options are, what's available out there. So that coaster that Mark had earlier, he says he likes to drink, so he made a coaster and he domed it, and he's going to give that to a customer. Okay, so you get some awesome brand recognition. They're going to keep it on their desk. But also, that's the thought process we want to drive. That's a functional piece of print that actually adds value. And of course, at the end of the day, it helps the bottom line. We can charge a lot more for these types of applications that don't cost as nearly as much as print consumers think they would.
Another thing that jumps to mind is that toothpaste manufacturer that launched a new brand of toothpaste in just a regular box, and they couldn't get any traction with it. So they took the box and reworked it and did some cool embellishment on the box itself, and the toothpaste sales went up 600% in 2 weeks' time. And it was just because they took that box and made it look better. And this is all getting opened up to the, when I say the short run printer, to any size printer. You can do that with this, can't you?
Absolutely.
And
Go ahead, Robert.
in addition, one of the things that I've seen going back to the thick business cards is people wanting to stand out. And it's not just something of, being memorable when you hand it to them and it has the tactile feel and it looks a little different. It's also when you're at an event, if you're networking and you have a stack of business cards that you leave the event with, that one that's square and about 5 times as thick as the other one doesn't really blend in, and it's going to stand out when you get back to the office. It's, going back to the functional part of it, it's standing out from the crowd, being memorable, and having those functions built in, I think is huge in the design part as well.
Absolutely. So Brad, you got some customer stories or applications that you can share from the North Panel?
I guess one thing I would like to share, just going back to when John was speaking a few minutes ago, is one thing I've seen in my area is we have a lot of customers that previously used foil embossing, or the old traditional foil. And they have switched to sleeker foil. And when they switched to sleeker foil, they really struggled breaking into the market because their customers would say to them, no, we're not interested in foil. Well, I had one customer tell me that when he started digging into it, he found out that they were interested in foil. They've always thought foil was cool, but back, 10 years ago, they used foil and they used to run, a large volume of business cards, and now they've leaned out and they're running a lot of short run business cards. So they'll come in for, 200 or 250 or 500. And they wanted to continue putting foil on those cards, and it simply cost too much, because to add foil to a card when you're only doing, 250 cards, the die cost was way more than the cards were worth. So they pushed foil right out of their mind. And it wasn't that they didn't think foil was still cool. They just pushed it out of their mind because price pushed it out of, you might say, what was, they weren't even able to justify it. So when he started retraining them about the new way of doing foil, and, we can take 5 of your employees, foil their names, and run it all through our machine at the same time and do variable data foiling for this price, it opened up a whole new door, and they have got more customers on doing foil now.
No, that's very good, Andy. And actually working with quite a few large packaging companies right now, where they're looking at incorporating this, because so much of the market space now, obviously, is like Brad mentioned, new product releases. But you take the micro brewery, specialty wines, and all that beverage market that seems to be exploding right now with specialty items. Now you have the ability of putting serialized and specialty celebrity names, etc., in short runs by region, on a lot of high-end packaging and printware. So, it's really circling right back to training the end user and the audience that this technology is fully capable to be highly profitable for you, the producer, at a relatively low cost to the end user to embrace this technology.
And on top of that, John, it's a complete brand package, isn't it? That's available out there now. We'll be talking tomorrow about digital foiling on web labels, and we'll be showing that in operation, which is definitely something very new out there. And you can build that whole complete package for your clients that incorporates the Sleek Pro foiling process into every area, whether it's from, brochures, letterhead, business cards, your labels, wherever it is, anything that's printed, the box, it can be done.
And not to repeat too much about Sleek Pro, but I had a client, actually now one of Robert's clients, it's going back about 4 years ago. They had a client come to them and they had a soft cover book, and they wanted a different foil outlay. There's 4 versions of the book, and the foil went around the whole outside edge of the front and back cover. There's 4 different versions of the book, and it came in 2 sizes. So they quoted out doing that hot stamped, and the die cost came back over $3,000. And we're talking about a run, I think they're doing 50 books of each size. So they looked at it and the customer said no. And they ended up printing that book as, quite frankly, fairly lame. They just did a self-cover saddle stitch, I think, and gave up on the whole event look and feel. The customer had to drop their vision for that piece and went totally vanilla and really didn't have the impact that they're looking for. Well, fast forward, this is 4 years ago that I'm speaking with this guy, and he now has sleeking equipment. He went back to that customer and started talking about embellishments and blew their mind with the fact that he could actually do that and with literally very little extra cost. So going from not being able to have any foil at all with the hot stamp process to being able to produce a short run, 50 of each size, and get that out the door to them with the foil that they wanted. Absolutely phenomenal. Well, of course, the dies didn't cost $3,000, but he did work quite a bit of that profit into his new quote and made a nice package on that job. But really, that's just to point out the embellishment, what people will pay. It's a slide that Emily shared in the previous presentation, that they'll pay 24 to 89% more for something that has print embellishments on it. So it's really, I think, the avenue to go as runs get shorter, to keep our bottom line the same and grow it while doing less work. Sounds like the perfect storm to me.
No, I've had so many clients that have embraced this technology, have spoken to me that it is the highest profit margin segment of their business. And, more or less, they're almost thanking you for, might say on the front end, maybe a slight push to get them to take the equipment to produce the products we're talking about, but afterwards coming back and thanking, as the largest portion of their growth and their profit center has come out of these product ranges now that they can offer. Right. So anyone in the audience that is on the line considering this, if you're a digital printer, you're most of the way there already. Adding a relatively low cost device, we've, as Andy showed yesterday, starting with the desktop unit right up to our high-end units, definitely have a machine that will work within your budget to get you kicked off into this segment.
Yeah, and not to contradict what John said at all, because that's great, but we also encourage printers to start with their existing equipment. So as we came back to the start of the session about functional print, well, embellishments could even maybe be looking at your paper vendor, or we can help you out with a metallic stock. Start there. So you're not investing in any equipment, and then going out to your customer base and showing them that, look, we're progressive, we're different, and we're going to help you stand out. Then maybe move into things like a machine we're going to show tomorrow is the Graphic Wizard 335 SCC. So going back to the functional print concept, show them that you can do a table tent. So very basic, I know, but that is an embellishment. It's no longer a printed piece anymore. That is a physical product that you can now show them what the application is. So I'm not sure if I'm connecting the dots and that makes sense, but the point is that embellishments means profit. And there's a lot of areas that we can work on. Obviously, we'd love to work with you with our equipment and processes, but think outside the box. Does that make sense, Brad?
Yeah, it does, Bob. And I was just thinking as you were speaking, there's a lot of products that Skandacor doesn't sell. We sell a lot of products, yes, absolutely. and we 100% believe in them. But there's some products that we don't sell that are actually part of this whole thing as well. And if there's something, you know, you have some questions about something in the embellishment world, ask one of our team, and we may not know it, but we may know somebody that is already doing that, and we can connect you up with them or bring some information back to you. That's the beauty of what I say the Skandacor being your wingman. Going back to Waldo's theme, is we want to be there to help support you in advancing your company, not necessarily selling you new equipment or new products, utilizing what you already have, and then build on that and watch it grow, because it's as we all know, the most profitable side of any print business is finishing and adding that extra value added to your products to make you more profitable. And that's what we want to do, isn't it, Bob? And John, we want to add more profits to the bottom line of our clients and make them stronger.
Absolutely. And that's important what you say, Brad, because you know, there's things we don't sell, but we partner with them, or other OEMs of equipment we don't sell rely on us to work with our technology. So if somebody's interested in a 3D spot UV coder, we don't currently sell that, but we'd love to help you with it because we have relationships with most everybody in the industry that's doing it. So no, that's really important.
And I think the other part is too, in addition to knowing the vendors and other places, we have many customers that have that equipment and that do those processes. So I've had a couple customers that were very interested in getting into embellishment, but they didn't want to make the commitment. They didn't want to buy the equipment. And so what I recommended was, look, I've got a few customers I can recommend to you that already work with us, that have the equipment, that do the process. Why don't you outsource to them for the time being? That way you can start getting it out to your customers now and see what the demand is, see what your profitability is going to look like versus outsourcing and then bringing in. And, you know, that's helping our customers at the same time. It's getting another one of my customers' business. It's helping them see what they can do with the embellishments and make that choice to get the investment into the equipment and the process, and everybody wins. And I think that's, you know, definitely a key component of what we do at Skandacor is, you know, we connect people, we help everyone. We are the wingman to so many people, and, you know, that definitely shows, and they can go on down the road to grow their business and continue, and everybody wins, which I think is ultimately the goal.
Absolutely. That's awesome, Robert. It's something that we do a lot here. And, you know, what the way we look at it is that in our industry, there's so much to learn. Things move so fast that it's not practical to go it alone. It's much better to work together. And, you know, we learn things every single day here, mostly by trial and error, but that's part of the process, right? John?
No, it's good what's come out of this, and you know, there's just so many ways of. I mean, I should say, we need to learn to embrace change, don't we? And we're being forced in that in the current environment with COVID. You take the platform that we're on right now. Normally, we'd be in Chicago and having a heyday right now, but we're practicing social distancing between all our locations. But we wish we were closer to our clients at times. But really embracing this change is taking that next step, you know, with your clients as well to, hey, embrace the change that of how you've always thought things had to be produced, just like Andy was referring to. You know, we need to train the end users that they can do this.
Absolutely. One of the things that when we talk about embellishment with print consumers is you don't have to be Colgate to have a metallic toothpaste box. This is practical now for short run, on-demand solutions. So there's no need to hold back and say, I can't do that, that's out of my range. I don't need 200,000 of those. Those days are by and large over. I mean, you're still gonna get toothpaste in a Colgate box, there's metallized film on it. But this technology has come down market so far that we can start out right with just a 4-color press and start offering embellishments to our customers.
how true it is. I mean, you take how far lamination has come, just in the past 15 years. In order to do single-sided laminating, you pretty much had to have real estate in your building that was about 40, 50 feet long, and then you could offer single-sided laminating. Now, the video that we just played before the break, or we half played, showed a 3 foot by 3 foot piece of real estate doing single-sided lamination. So things have come so far so quickly. And, with Skandacor, we are always on the leading edge of, what is next. So partnering with Skandacor is, we're here to be your wingmen, as we continue to say.
Do you have any more practical applications from up north, Brad?
The only one application that comes to my mind that I talked to one of my customers about is hitting the wedding market with foil. Foil is always a difficult one with the wedding market because they're typically always short run. And if you do the traditional foil, it's very hard to justify it. But now with the sleeker foil technology, it opens up a whole new door to do those short, 100-piece run table cards or whatever they are. And it's also giving the opportunity to personalize your cards. So I have one client that was doing personalized cards, and they were actually foiling the name of the person that was sitting at the table. And it was variable data, so every single card was a different name, and they're able to foil that. Well, now that customer takes that job and goes to your competitor and asks them for a quote on that. And if they're not doing sleeker foil, if they're doing traditional foil, they would have to make a die for every single one of those cards, which is going to push them right out of the market. So it's helping to open new doors, hold out cool things to your clients, which foil is what they want in the wedding industry. And it opens up new doors for them and and you might say, keeps your competition away.
I think it's good what Andy is mentioning about keeping it makes you different than the competition. I had one client that comes to mind is I have a customer and she was wondering how to sell this product. She wanted to get into it, but she wasn't sure how to, break into the market. So we sent her a whole shipment of samples of the Sleek Pro. If any of you guys want samples, we'd be more than happy to send them to you. So what she did is she went to her top 6 jobs that she would want to apply this foil to. And she did this during COVID. The jobs were still coming in, but there were a lot less volumes than normal. And she offered foil with the job and gave them a sample and said it could look like this. This is the cost. Even if it's a short run, I can hold that cost. And she's got a lot of them converted over to applying this Sleek Pro foil to those existing jobs that she was already doing. So now she's different than her competition, and she's making more money without doing that much more work. So yeah, her volumes are less now, but she's making more money. So I think that's just a practical example of how this Sleek Pro foil and all these embellishments can add to your bottom line.
It's really good, Dexter. I had a client where one of their philosophies to get this out there, as jobs were rolling through, it was, say, just a traditional CMYK job. And what they would do is produce the whole job specifically how the client wanted it, but then they would run one sheet with a specialty embellishment on it, put it on the top of the stack, and then that package would be, shrink wrapped or boxed up, and that specialty piece sitting on top, and send it out to the customer without the client knowing that that was coming. So the client would receive the box, open it up, and the very first, say, business card or greeting card is their card all in foil. And then the entire rest of the stack was the just flat, as they ordered traditional cards or et cetera. And he's telling me how exponentially the business grew by doing that. Very low cost for him, but a way of pushing that technology out to all his clients and them realizing now what they can offer. So just the ideas to put out there to those that may be offering it, but have had lower take up, run a few sample sets with your client's name on it. I mean, Bill was very big in that, wasn't he? With, hey, research the customer, find out what their interests are. Maybe this guy is really big into football. Well, send him a fake Super Bowl ticket with his name on it and send it to the guy.
Throw some leather laminate on it.
Exactly. Deco Pro leather with some spot foil embellishment. So just ideas out there to really drive that business forward. I think we're pretty well wrapping up this segment.
John, just one more comment to interrupt you there with. If any of our listeners are looking for some samples, reach out and we'll send you out samples for you to show to your customers. We have a lot of these car foiled car samples now that we've been working on throughout the last few days, but we're very happy to supply you samples.
Yeah, exactly. And we've even run on some, higher profile, persons that are trying to win high profile clients. We've run sample sets of their live jobs for them. We don't make a practice of it, but there have been times where, a client's trying to win a big deal and we have run sample sets specific, to your needs. So not only do we have our traditional sample kits, but we can do some special things for a large opportunity for you to get a foot in. So that's good. I think that pretty well wraps up this segment on the high-end value embellishment.